everyone. I'm Alex Radford, your 2026 Miss Flowery Branch for America Strong, and I am so excited to share this conversation with you today with Dr. Sandy Schremer. Dr. Sandy really helped guide me through my own personal divorce and trauma healing journey almost 10 years ago now, and I'm so thankful for what she walked through with me. So I want to kick off by sharing a little bit about what brings us together to have this conversation with you guys today. I was divorced in 2017, and walking through that journey really forced me to reestablish my identity. I was very rocked by the divorce and regaining my footing and trying to find my confidence again when my life had completely changed was a challenge for me. I had a lot of fear and uncertainty about the future. I really didn't trust what was ahead. And Sandy helped me walk through learning healthier boundaries and self-trust and really no longer struggling with people pleasing and avoiding conflict and learning to speak up for myself, especially in relationships. We're so excited to have her with us today. And I want to kick us off with Proverbs 11:14, which states, "Where there is no guidance, a people fall, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety." Whether you are going through a divorce or a loss or unexpected change, maybe it's a messy season, or maybe you're lacking purpose and fulfillment in some way and feeling like there's more to life than what you're experiencing right now, this conversation with me and Dr. Sandy is really going to bless you. And working on these things is going to completely transform the way you show up in the world and really producing that glow that we all want to have as we walk in purpose. So without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce Dr. Sandy Schremer, a board-certified Christian counselor and founder of Atlanta Wellness. Sandy has a PhD in Christian counseling with certifications in premarital and marriage counseling, 12 STR trauma therapy, and is currently completing her neuroscience certification. Sandy, you are a powerhouse. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm excited to be here. I am thankful that you asked me about this. I look back on your journey and I'm like, well, there you go, God. There you go. Only you, God. So it has been a great experience for me to walk alongside of people, and especially you, Alex.
Well, thank you. You're such a blessing to me, and I'm just excited to share what the journey that you and I have been on over the last decade, if you can believe that, and just what it looked like before healing and what it looks like after healing. And I'm hoping that you can shed some light on some things for our viewers today. I would love to kick us off today by talking a little bit about trauma, which is a buzzword. A lot of people talk a lot about trauma, or this is causing me trauma, or we're trauma bonded. I would love to just define what trauma is, what it's not, and how it shows up in different people differently, because I feel like we may be talking about throwing that word around a little bit today. Can you tell us just how would you define trauma?
There are a few different definitions, but they all agree with this. It's an experience that overwhelms the brain to the degree that there are mainly five, there are a few more parts, but main five parts that are receiving information, doing something with the information, and some of those parts will not totally shut down, but will decrease in activity. And then we know that's a trauma. So Alex, you and I could be together and we could have an experience with the same thing. It could be anything, and it could be traumatizing for me, but not for you. Okay. It all depends on what our brain is doing. And so is there an area that becomes somewhat deactivated? And so it can be consistent. It doesn't have to be one experience. It can be consistent experiences in a relationship, and maybe a significant relationship. And over time, with us not being heard, not feeling validated, not being seen, it can cause a it's causing trauma responses.
Yes, trauma doesn't necessarily have to be a catastrophic life event. It can be smaller things, and love that. And unrealized trauma shows up in our lives in a lot of different ways. And you mentioned triggers. So, what does it look like? Because a lot of people may not even realize they have trauma that they haven't even dealt with yet. For whatever reason, they block it out or they're just unaware. So, what does it look like when we have unrealized trauma?
Well, I would like to use a couple of words from the brain and do your best to track along here. I would like Inside Out, how they made a movie about these feelings. I would really like for us to make an animated movie about these different areas in the brain. And amygdala is something that's kind of a buzzword now. So people know, they relate amygdala and emotions and maybe even trauma response from that. Sitting right behind the amygdala is this storage room called the hippocampus. Now, the hippocampus neatly categorizes and stores our memories. It date stamps them, and it's the full video. But when it's trauma, a couple of other areas that I'm going to mention, when they become deactivated, the hippocampus is one of them, then it's not going to store the video. So when I was at the grocery store, I pulled a can and all the cans fell. And that was yesterday at this grocery store, and this person helped me pick them up. And I'm so glad that somebody helped me pick them up.
Right.
So that date stamped it. But if it's traumatizing, the hippocampus is not going to put a date on it. So it's something that keeps going on. It's not yesterday. It's not in the past. Even though we're not recalling the memory, the amygdala is storing the emotion and keeps playing the intensity of the emotion. So it's just waiting for something to happen to be able to express that emotion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then there's another word, the insula, which is close by. It's telling us what all this means. And then one more, we all know about prefrontal cortex. So that becomes deactivated. The medial prefrontal cortex becomes somewhat deactivated in trauma. But the posterior cingulate cortex, and it's called PCC. So that's a big buzzword in neuroscience, PCC, in trauma. That tells us who we are. It uses whatever experiences we have, and it puts it in the narrative of who we are. And so when that becomes less active in trauma, then we are attaching who we are to I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not, you can just fill in the blanks there. And it's running in the background, and we act it. We begin to act it. We choose people to date based on that. We make many choices based on that, and they're lies, but it's because of trauma.
It's really interesting when we go through a trauma and we have a response to it in that moment, which I guess typically is fight, flight, freeze, fawn. That response in the moment of trauma was needed, right? We had to do that to protect ourselves. But then when the trauma is over, because it doesn't get date stamped, we just continue living in that trauma response as if it's normal, right? Is that right?
Yes. I talked about the insula. The insula is telling us what our body is doing. Okay, my chest is tightening up and breathing more rapidly. So there's that somatic response, which is an automatic response once the amygdala gets triggered. We cannot control that. We can control what we do. Our brain is lying to us.
Right.
Many times when I'm working with marriages, a husband will say, I just couldn't help it. He raised his voice at her. I just couldn't help it. If you had heard what I had heard, or if you had been there, you would see. I know that's the lie. You had a choice and you didn't realize it. We have this mechanism there to protect our life.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get enough adrenaline, norepinephrine going that we are stronger than what we normally are.
Mm-hmm.
We need that mechanism, but we don't. We're using it way too often, and we have more control over it than we realize. There are ways of activating these parts that start shutting down.
Yeah. So one thing that comes to mind is pause, because I feel you can realize, okay, I'm triggered, and then you can pause and decide, is this a genuine threat? Was I truly disrespected just now? Did some boundary truly get crossed? Or am I upset over some memory or something that happened in the past? And really looking at the facts of what just happened. And I think that was a big part of growth for me. I would have identified myself before counseling as a butterfly and go with the flow. And I like that about myself. But I definitely feel as I worked through this healing journey, I pay a lot more attention to the facts, and I don't associate an emotion with the facts necessarily. And if there's a positive thing, I can check the box and say, oh, this person did something that was really respectful, what they just did. And I can be happy about that, but I don't have to assign too much emotions to the fact if something bad happened. And I think that's where it gets all convoluted in day-to-day life. Someone can do something bad to you, but then your emotions get in the way and make it almost really difficult, if not impossible, to choose to remove yourself. People get stuck. I see that all the time, especially in dating, especially with post-divorce and women I meet out in the world where they know a relationship's not serving them, but they don't leave. They can't. So what would you say to someone who's in that place of trauma where they're kind of stuck? They know in theory what they should do, but trauma is keeping them stuck there.
I think healing the brain. I have a quote here. It says, my job isn't to fix people, it's to help the nervous system feel safe enough that their own brain can heal. It really is about brain healing. When you say somebody knows what to do, they know the right thing to do, but they're not doing it. There's a reason they're not doing it.
Right.
A lot of times we are using other coping mechanisms that we don't even realize to get to that thing that they know they shouldn't be doing. So with brain healing, we really are warriors going into it because we're going to face ourselves. We're going to face our younger self and take a good look at ourselves. And we're going to have to admit things that don't feel good.
Right.
I don't know anybody that really wants to do that.
Right.
There's this fear that whatever I feel can overcome me and take me away. And what I say to people in here is that's normal for you to fear that. That's very normal. I'm here. I'm with you. And I'm in this journey too. And I'm going to feel too.
Right.
And it's not going to overtake you. You will not be overcome by the feelings. So we really do need to look at the feelings first. I'm certified in 12 STR. It's Strategic Trauma and Abuse Recovery. It was developed by Dr. Denise Colson. And I am so appreciative, extremely appreciative of all the work that she has done and others have done in this area. This particular evidence-informed 3-phase 12-stage therapy model is a structured model. And I appreciate that. It's like, okay, we're going to jump on this train, which is the structure, and we're going to pass through different things, but we're not stopping. Just know we're passing through, that we're moving through this. And what we do in this model is that we're actually going from the prefrontal cortex to the amygdala, back to the prefrontal cortex, back to the amygdala, and some of the others that I mentioned. And so we're awakening these areas of the brain that are not as active. And doing that, it takes validation, Part of
Mm-hmm.
my job is to validate their younger self when they experience different things and some choices that they made, and teach them how to validate their own selves.
Yeah.
And so that's an extremely important therapy.
That was when I walked through that specific process with you. That was one of the things I remember about validating yourself, because I was in a bit of a situation where I needed a lot of validation from people around me. And you said, sometimes you have to be your own best friend. Like sometimes you have to validate yourself. So no, there may not be someone sitting next to you saying, yeah, Alex, you are right about that. You have to do it yourself. And I still, to this day, sometimes will catch myself when I'm making a decision or what direction do I want to go with this? And I'll be like, I'm my own best friend. I know what I want to do. I trust this decision.
So it's important to know we're not validating someone's thoughts. We're not validating facts. We're not even validating choices. We're validating somebody's feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what's important. I don't have to know all that. There is a place for as many facts as you can remember to put out. A lot of times in trauma, remember, it's not time stamped. It's not this video hanging out in the hippocampus. It's all neat and organized. It is mostly feelings. It's
Mm-hmm.
pictures. It sounds, it smells. And that's part of the triggering process when trauma is not dealt with. And so, there's a place where they write down their facts and that they do the best that they can. But we really want to get to the feelings. They know the feelings.
Yeah.
And when we first start trauma therapy, not everyone, but most people, one of their first feelings as we get started is embarrassment. I'm just embarrassed that this happened to me.
Right.
Even though they were powerless. They weren't in control of somebody else's choices. And most people don't sit with that. Most of the time, I'm hearing what they've not shared with anybody.
Right.
We would treat someone being scared in a vehicle because they were powerless over somebody's driving to someone that was raped. A lot of times when someone's raped, they'll say, oh, that happened a long time ago. I'm done with it. I'm over it. It doesn't have a hold. It's in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
But the amygdala is still active with the emotions. So they're sitting on fear. They've not been able to keep a relationship with someone. There are many things that come from that. And I just say, what if we do a cleanup move? Why don't we just run through it quickly? And we'll just do a cleanup move and if there's anything dangling, we'll just take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about the brain, what's going on in the brain.
Yeah.
Every single time it has been profound. And I didn't realize I was so scared to look at this.
Wow.
What a big difference.
Yeah. And then as we move through identifying those feelings and really sitting in them and remembering some of the incidences or the things that happened, I know for me with my journey, that was a process. We were coming in consistently, walking through each thing. And at first, it's almost like, well, I'm reliving it, but nothing's really happening other than just reliving it. About halfway through, I felt like something in my brain, like right here, like a window was opened or something. Or I don't mean that in a woo-woo way at all either, but it was just like my perspective changed, where the way I viewed the scenario before, there was a lot of emotion attached to it still, maybe some loss. But after we sat in it, it's like my perspective changed and I'm like, oh, I see all these horrible patterns. I don't miss that at all. Like, I can't believe I ever even cared or was involved. The perspective just changed, and it really took a weight off of me when it came to carrying the weight of like, you're sad and there's a loss and there's pain and you're working through all of that healing to finally being over it and being like, that doesn't have a hold on me. I don't make choices that way anymore. And I don't choose to date people like that anymore. And just seeing that shift.
Part of what you're describing is what's happening in the amygdala. where there's so much power. We're given so much power to the amygdala. It's making our decisions and running, and it doesn't have that power anymore. Now, we're even more aware of what we feel from day to day, and we're not afraid to feel. But amygdala is never, ever, unless our life is at stake, is never the part in our brain that should be making the decisions. That's the prefrontal cortex. Even when we talk about in Christianity, faith stepping, doing the right thing, what you know to be the right thing at the moment, that's coming from the prefrontal cortex. And again, so it's in the processing. The first stage, we're writing down the incidents. We're moving from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. We're awakening different parts of the brain. I'll start with stage one.
Okay.
So stage one, we're moving from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex, awakening things in the brain, and you're telling a story of the incidents that we're going to be using throughout the process. In stage two, we're actually processing those incidents. And the cool thing at the end of stage two is when we realize what we've lost, we have to say what our coping mechanisms were in order to be able to survive those losses. And so then we look at the coping mechanisms in stage three, and we see if they're working for us, if we're still doing them or what they changed into. And most of the time, they're hurting us. And we have power over that. But a lot of times, you know what people think?
What?
This is what they say. This is just who I am. This is just who I am.
Yep.
And I always say, nope, that's not who God created you to be. You're going to love the person you were created to be. There are a couple of things in stage three that happen. First of all, people see how they have acted, how they've been acting, and the losses that it's incurring, and they can't stand it.
Yes.
But we have to get to that point before we can change something. We have to be able to, this isn't working. There is such empowerment because in stage one and two, we were talking about things that the client didn't have power over. In stage three, the client has power over this. So it's very empowering. And it's from here where some of our boundaries come. But the other thing that happens in this is that as we begin to practice, what we realize would be honoring ourselves. As we learn to not betray ourselves with our, then we end up later on really liking the dividends. We appreciate the results. And others don't like that we're changing. They're like, wait, no, you're shaking everything up. Stop doing that. No, that's not what I expect from you. But when they begin to see that you are not going to betray yourself, that you are going to be responsible for yourself, so that you can be a better person to everyone around you, then that is usually the catalyst that helps them start changing, or it really reflects what's going on inside of them and their resistance to any kind of change.
Yeah. And sometimes endings are necessary. And I believe when we hold boundaries, even if it does mean that there's a loss or a friendship ends or a relationship ends, at the end of the day, I feel it's weeding out the people that are no longer aligned with your life for whatever reason, and it builds maturity and confidence. And I feel a big part of my confidence growing came from making those, they were hard decisions, but I knew they were the right decisions for me. And it's really hard in the moment because you're like, oh, I hate to let go of this situation or this person or whatever. But I feel the fear of doing it is bigger than when you actually do it. You're like, why was I so scared? This is actually way better. I'm so glad I did that.
And I think I see it more as with the people in our life as we're changing, I see it more as an invitation to them,
Yeah.
not a pushing them away. It's
Yeah.
an invitation. Hey, I want you to be a part of this journey too.
Hmm.
And so it's trauma therapy is not casting people out.
Right. Yeah.
I don't even see it as estrangement or anything like that. I do see now if there are severe cases like
Inevitably.
that, but I do see it more as an invitation. And but a lot of people aren't ready for that. I
Exactly.
think they may be the ones to leave you.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't
We'll
think.
thank them for it. I'd be thankful for it.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that kind of takes me into a little bit of about forgiveness because I feel like that was a big part of the journey that we went on together, kind of towards the end. I'm not sure what phase it was in, but
Stage five or
okay.
stage five. Mhm.
Okay. So coming to stage five, and it's really like, okay, forgiving the other person, which can be hard when you feel like they've wronged you, or maybe there was something I read that said lots of times we all have misguided attempts to serve our own needs that lead us to hurting others. And I have also hurt people, and I've had people hurt me through their misguided attempts or my misguided attempts to do what I thought was best at the time. And that was something that was really freeing to me is we all have misguided attempts. So it's like I don't need to harbor resentment towards someone for what they did in their moment of a misguided attempt. I can recognize it and see it and just be thankful I'm not a part of it anymore. But how important was forgiveness?
Forgiveness is not reconciliation. So they're two separate things. Reconciliation can come with forgiveness and true repentance. So I think I'm in the business of reconciliation.
Hmm.
So with mother daughters, husband wife, boyfriend girlfriend, siblings. So I'm definitely in that business, but forgiveness is a part. There has to be forgiveness for there to be reconciliation. But just because you're forgiving someone doesn't mean that they're ready to reconcile with you.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's something that I don't want to say that in the grand scheme of things, I don't believe that we have power over that. I believe that that is something that really has to come from a greater power.
Hmm.
But the part that I can do, or that we can do, is when it comes back up and we're about to respond or we're about to have the same trauma response, we go, no, nope, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to rehearse their sin. I don't have to keep thinking about that. I've already covered all this in trauma therapy. We have to keep and each time we make that decision, there's a little bit more forgiveness, a little bit more forgiveness. Now, some people, when they come in here, they'll say, nope, forgiveness is one and done. It's just one and done. And that's not what my experience is, especially with reconciliation.
Right.
It's something that I have to keep doing. It's a
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. It's I would agree that it's been a process for me.
And then stage six, this is our last stage. We just take a look at, okay, what have I learned through this process?
Hmm.
We just look back through our notebook and we're like, oh, yeah, I learned this. I learned this. I learned where my posterior cingulate cortex was receiving this as a lie. It was making a narrative using this.
Yes.
And this is the truth of who I am. Our identity can only come from the one who created us. That is our true identity. The whole process of us living here on earth is sanctifying to the process, being called to this general revelation that there is a greater power, and to the special revelation. I personally know this power, personally know him, until we're righteous, until we are perfect in the sanctification process. And that is all about learning to live in who he's really created us to be. So our identity is, we're also learning what our true identity is through this process, noting what's a lie and the truth. And we go through each step and we learn what we realize what we learned through it. And then, do you want to share more about what stage 6 is?
Yes, so when I went through the trauma counseling journey, as we were getting to the end, there's something called a spiritual marker. It's kind of like, okay, we've walked through this journey and now we're coming to a close and we're going to close the door on this, but having something that marks the journey and everything that you've learned. And so the spiritual marker could be anything that we want it to be. I could write a song about it. I could write a book about it. What else do people do? I guess I could plant a garden.
Every time you came in, you had another idea and it was great. And this is what you were going to do. And then, okay, so you're back the next time and you don't have that done because you have a better idea.
Yeah.
I remember telling you, okay, this is what you're going to do. I'm going to pick it. You're the only person that I've ever said this to. I'm going to pick it. You're going to write a book and it's due tonight.
And so I wrote a Christian ebook. It's called Healing from Heartbreak. And it's kind of about everything we just talked about. Like, here's what it looked like living this one way. And here's what it looks like living this other way. And here's the steps it took in between that made all the difference. It's almost like a memorial or something that it just represents.
I think your first book was, because I have it in there, it's called Christian Dating.
That's it. Yes. That's the one. Yes. So, yeah, the spiritual marker was great.
Another thing is learning what our core values are. Let's say you wrote down 28 core values. You just keep reading over that list. And then after 3 or 4 days, you go back to that list and you circle the ones that are most important on that list. And let's say you get it down to 15. Then you write just those 15 on another sheet of paper. And then every morning you look through that list. And then day 3 or 4, you circle the ones that are most important. You keep doing that until you get to down to at least 4 or 5 core values. And if you can get to 3, that's great. And those core values are going to help lead you to friendships, people to be friends with, and people to date.
Yeah. That was such a fun exercise. I really enjoyed doing that. And I remember my top 3 core values were respect, humility, and peace. So I use those things as indicators. If I'm dating someone and for whatever reason I don't have peace, then it's a no-go. Or if I'm dating someone and I sense a spirit of pride, it's a no-go. It won't work. It's not someone I would say yes to. So I love having that as guardrails a little bit. And it's not even just for dating. I think with clients, with friends, people that you do business with, it's really important to make sure that your values are aligned there too. There's something I wrote about in my dating book, and it's the red light, yellow light, green light of dating discernment. And this was really helpful to me when you're dating someone. The red light would be that conviction of, this is not right. Something's off. I feel convicted in this relationship. Maybe there's really evident sin. That is just a hard no. And then the yellow light is more of, okay, I'm investigating. I might need more information. I can proceed with caution, but I'm really paying attention to their actions and not just their words, and really believing what's in a person's heart comes out of their mouth. So the things that they're saying are very indicative as well of what's going on deep within them, and just paying attention to that. And then the green light is, of course, having peace, but also evidence of fruit in their life. So what is the fruit in their life? Do they have good relationships? Do they have joy? Do they have patience? And a huge one is self-control, which is something hard to come by these days. And then just friends and family approving and saying, yes, we think this is a great person. So those have kind of been some guardrails that I've used that have been super helpful.
I love that.
Yeah. So to kind of tie us up, wrap us up, I want to ask maybe one final question. If there's a woman out there who is feeling stuck or discouraged, maybe she's lost her sense of purpose, what would you say is something she could do right now? Maybe first step, maybe it's an action, or maybe it's a perspective and something that she should know that will help her kind of rediscover the purposeful life God has waiting.
Well, our brain lies to us. It lies to us because we have stored a narrative that we've experienced things. We've experienced the sin of other people, and we've stored this narrative of ourselves that is a lie. And so I think knowing that that could be their lies sitting in there. And I need to identify what those lies are. And
Yeah.
we can do that by ourselves. I think learning how to validate ourselves. I teach in conferences, I teach these steps. One, if you get triggered or there's something that's happening, it's startling you, or your heart's beating faster, stop, pause. Two, identify your feelings. It's hard that's not really the time to process it. Just identify what you're feeling and tell yourself it's okay, because your amygdala is very active at that moment. So, in calming the amygdala, we're seeing the amygdala and we're going, it's okay. It's okay that I feel surprised. It's okay that I feel embarrassed. It's okay that I feel rejected. It's okay that I feel this pain right now. And then from there, do something that takes care of ourselves. Choose to do something. So it may be that I'm not going to respond in that moment. I'm going to do something that it may be something totally different. It may be a walk. It may be removing yourself from the room. And then after your amygdala has calmed down, then you can process it and you can say, okay, what triggered that? What actually happened? What facts do I actually remember that happened? What words were said or what happened? Are there any lies that I'm believing that are attached to this? And a good question to ask, did I react? Did I choose to act on the amygdala? Do I need to apologize for something? Do I need to admit a wrong? What do I need to do with this information? This is where the faith step happens. In order to be responsible for myself, now that I have this information, what do I need to do? Sometimes we don't need to involve anybody else. Sometimes we're recognizing a pattern of someone else, and maybe we should confront them. But we're not confronting them because we need it so badly. We took care of ourselves. We're confronting them because we care about our relationship. We care about the other person. And if they react, that's okay. That's on them. That's okay. But we showed up.
Yeah.
And so that is let me take care of myself along the way. That is really hard for people to do who have not been through trauma therapy.
Right.
And so there's so many counselors that are certified in trauma care. And so we're doing something with the brain. So it's not the same thing as going to a friend and telling a friend all about it.
Right.
Unless that friend can get us going back and forth to the different areas of the brain. And many people now many counselors are certified in trauma therapy. So I highly recommend people seeking help. What happens when we process something is that it ends up getting organized in the hippocampus and it has a date stamp on it. It's something that happened. It's not something that is happening. So it tells our amygdala that it's not still happening, that we have grown from it.
Yeah.
And so that date stamping is very, very important. And so the brain can heal. It is amazing what the brain can do. So there's so much hope for anybody who feels like they're stuck or they feel hopeless, reaching out is one of the hardest things to do.
Well, we would just encourage anyone who is walking through that to definitely reach out to someone in their local area. And how can people find you, Sandy? If someone wanted to talk to you or book a consultation with you or book a session with you, where can they learn more about you?
So we have a website, atlantawellness.org, and you'll see our phone number and how you can get in touch with us there. And I'm welcome to see anybody. I'm so proud of you, Alex.
Thank
To
you.
be able to walk along with you in this journey, and seriously, to be able to see the healing that God Himself has done in your life. It's so encouraging. And I know it's so encouraging to other people. You've talked about glow, and I just want to add another word to that.
Okay.
I believe that we all can grow to glow. And that glowing, I believe, is reflecting the glory of God.
I love that so much. Thank you. And you have seen all of the nitty gritty details of my messy moments, and you really created a safe space for me to do that. And I'm so thankful for that. I agree. And I believe it takes this growth, it takes the growth through suffering to glow. And yes, that only comes from Jesus. My joy comes from the Lord. There is no other place that it comes from. And there's a lot of people out there who may appear confident or appear joyful, or they know who they are, but there's a glow that only Jesus can give. And the Bible tells us we're going to have challenges. We're going to have growing pains. That's just part of life. That's human nature. And we are called to, we're healed by the word of our testimony, and sharing what we've walked through heals us and it heals others. And so thank you so much. And I just appreciate you.
Thank you. I enjoyed this.
Me too. Thank you guys for watching. And if this conversation resonated with you, please do follow along on YouTube. You can find me by searching Alexandra Radford. You can find me on Instagram at AlexRadford1989. And if this is meaningful to you, pass it on, share it, subscribe, and until next time.